This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Have you heard anything?
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We live at Eco Training Pridelands and we're just about to start our walk. We're just waiting for it to properly become light. And as normal, we sit and listen to all the sounds to try and determine what's in the area. So my name is JP LaRue and behind the camera we've got Mpo. While we're sitting listening, there's some Egyptian geese that's making a racket there in the distance. We're also just busy staring at the moon through the remains of this old leadwood tree. At the moment, it's forming the last little sliver before it goes into new moon. And from there, over a 27-day period, it will grow consistently to become full again. This interesting cultural interpretation about the moon in the southern hemisphere when it makes a little D shape like this. And the sun culture is that it holds up all the poisons up that was in the sky and prevent that from being spilled over onto the earth. However, when it tips over into the sea, those poisons then get dropped onto the earth. It's also quite interesting if you would like to determine if we are going from a waxing moon or a waning moon. A waxing is when it's growing. In the southern hemisphere, it will form a C shape. However, if it's waning, it forms a D shape, which means it's declining. And the opposite is true again for it in the northern hemisphere, where the C will indicate that it's declining and the D will indicate that it is climbing and moving towards a waxing phase. To give you a few fast facts about the moon, it's approximately some 380,000 kilometers away from us. On its furthest point, some 400,000 kilometers, and on its closest point, some 360,000 kilometers. Also, due to its close proximity, it's also got a far greater gravitational pull on the water surfaces on the Earth compared to that the Sun would be. It is also an absolutely great time of the month now, or in the lunar cycle, for stargazing. So this morning we were also looking at a number of different constellations, which we generally only see in the summer evenings. And two of those were Orion as well as Taurus, the bull. We're going to start our walk from here very soon, first by looking at what tracks we can find around the dam, and then we're going to start heading out. But in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Lauren has on offer.
Good morning, everybody. What a start to the morning. We have Mr. Tingana. Not only do we have Mr. Tingana, we have Tingana on the fallen over log on quarantine for ideal viewing. It's going to be a good day. My name is Lauren. I do have Davi on camera, and we heard alarm calls from camp. We also heard hyenas. So I left camp super early, drove as fast as I could to try and find the hyenas. And then when we found the impala snorting, we realized, oh, there is a predator here, and we found Mr. Banana. This is the first time I have seen Tingana in... Sorry, Davi's wiping the lens. It's a very cold morning. It's going to keep fogging up, I think. Is this the first time I have seen Tingana in possibly 9 months? Isn't that right, Tingy? And Davi said, I think he's going to go up that log. I said, no way is Tingana go up that log. And lo and behold, he did. Davi, you were right. It's not often I say that, everybody. So there you go. I said it on live on air. What a magical start, really. This log, I have found Miss Tlalamba, Tingana's daughter, very, well, a lot. I've had many sightings with Tlalamba up this log. Or this tree, should I say. Why am I calling it a log? It's definitely a tree. And here's Daddy Boy. So everyone, with that exciting start, oh. Now this is too much, Tingana, please stop. I must tell you that we're live and interactive, so you must talk to us. And there's a number of different ways that you can do that. You can use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. You can use @FC on the YouTube chat, or you can head over to the WildEarth website. As long as you have registered, you can submit your questions there. And kids, most importantly, we want to hear from you. We do. Once you get over 18 years old, life becomes a lot less exciting, or so they say. So please do send us an email. And the email address is kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. Tell us about yourself, your age, where are you from, and which of the animals is your favourite. Tingana used to be my favourite a very long time ago, everybody, but we've since... Our relationship took a bit of a tumble, didn't it, boy? Your belly is full. I'm wondering if he had a kill that the hyenas stole, and that's why we could hear the hyenas. Then we could hear the impala because there was lots of predators around, and then, of course, we found Tingana. And he's just been too perfect. He's on quarantine, and here's me the other night saying, I never see leopards on quarantine anymore. It's so nice just to watch him. The sun's just coming up. It's cold. We're actually hitting a cold front, I believe. It's been remarkably warm here since I've come back. Not summer warm, but warm, pleasant. But apparently we're going to get a cold front. Not entirely thrilled about that, I must say. Everyone is very happy to see the Duke. Oh, don't I know it, so am I. Oh, Tingana, he is a famous leopard. Everybody wants to see Tingana. Everyone gets very excited when he crosses onto other properties now because he'll be found on Nkoro, Chitwa, Arathusa, Little Gowrie, and that means all the stations in the east and the west, and everybody gets to see him, and everybody loves to see Tingana. It's sort of difficult to give perspective from a camera, but trust me, he is a big male leopard. Oh. He's huge. You can't mistake any body part of Tingana. Tingana, we don't want a bum view. Why have you given us your bum? Okay, Darby, shall we reposition? Okay, Darby's saying just reverse. Tell me when, cameraman. We'll try and get his face through these branches, aren't we? Okay. And he's decided to move naturally, of course. And he's in such great condition. A lot of people say, oh, Tingana, he's getting older. Yes, he's getting older, aren't we all? But he's in remarkable condition. Hello, handsome. Remember me? You're going to walk right up to the car? Okay. Okay. We're getting there. I think he's going to make sure that he's my favorite leopard again. If he does go into this drainage, everyone... Oh, no, that's a car. That's not Tingana. Sorry. If he does go into this drainage, it's not really going to be possible to follow him, I must say. Flask, you're saying that looks like the most comfortable leopard ever. Oh, yes. Living the chill life, Flask. I haven't heard your name in a while. It's nice to hear from you. King in his own realm. We call him the Duke, but really, he's just living the best life now. Nomadic, going wherever he wants to go. Why not? Doesn't have to worry about spending all that energy on territorial patrol anymore. Yeah, he's heading for the drainage, isn't he? Okay, this might be the last little views we get of him, so let's try and give that to you. Unless he walks along the western edge, let's see what he's going to do. Tingy, please don't go into the drainage, my boy. That's where he's heading. This is the drainage on the southern end of quarantine, everyone. And if he does go in there, then it might be a little bit problematic, but we'll try our very best to hold up with the Duke.
Good morning and welcome to Bushwalk. We're live at Eco Training Pridens and we're at the moment at Ndlovu Dam, which translates into Elephant Dam, as it's one of the dams where the elephants love to come and swim. Right in front of us, we've got our little hippo that has returned over the last few days again, which I'm happy to see again. I was just enjoying the whole atmosphere that has been created with this mirror-like impression on the water and the steam that's rising off from it. Every now and then you'll see a little bit of vapor appearing from his nostrils as well as he takes a breath as well. This guy has been out all night long, busy feeding, and I've been looking at his tracks lately. He's been covering quite a considerable distance between his feeding grounds and the area where he comes and hides during the daytime in the dam. Quite glad that he's back, because he is always adds a little bit of something for our show. One of the things that I do find is that the elephants actually push him off quite often. And when they start swimming in the dam, they tend to push him out and he moves elsewhere. So to give you a rough idea, some hippos can walk up to some 20 kilometers a night between feeding and the areas where they will be resting. One of my favorite stories is a story about a hippo that used to walk between Greater St. Lucia Wetlands Park and Queenstown in Eastern Cape, which is a distance of some 1,600 kilometers, which had traveled over a few years. This hippo was at first thought that it was a male, but later on they discovered it was a female. Firstly, she was known as Hubert, and from there on became known as Huberta. And her travels was well documented at that stage in a number of newspapers. Good morning to the viewers who have just joined us. We are at the moment live at Ndlovu Dam, which translates into Elephant Dam. But we're enjoying a view on our hippopotamus has decided to reside in the dam over the last few days. We're very happy to see him back here every morning. For the moment, the atmosphere here is so beautiful, with this mirror-like impression on the water. Very soon the sun is also just going to peek over the wall of the dam. We're just also waiting it to warm up a little bit and that we have a little bit more light. We can actually see what the tracks are doing before we're going to decide in which direction we're going to walk. But we would like to just offer you a moment of peace and quiet and allow you to listen to the different sounds of nature. We're going to spend a little bit more time here and see what happens. But in the meanwhile, we're going to hand you over to Cedric, who would like to say good morning to you all.
Good morning. Welcome again to Djuma Private Game Reserve. What a start. I heard that a beautiful male leopard next to camp. That's great. My name is Cedric. I have Morgan on camera with me this morning. So our plan for today, we heard some lions a bit further from here. We will try to go look in that direction and see what we can find, but otherwise we will bumble around and hopefully we can show you some very nice sightings. It is a beautiful sunrise, as you can see, and it is a bit misty. Yeah, so earlier I heard a lion roaring just north of camp. A little bit far, but it might be on Djuma. So while Lauren is with a beautiful leopard, why not go check there? Okay, so let's go down to Galagopan and then we'll make our way north. It is quite cold this morning, colder than the previous days. Okay, so we'll continue in this cold weather, and in the meantime, we'll send you to Lorraine.
Oh, Tingana didn't quite go into the drainage, everyone. He's close, but he's decided that he wants to do some more grooming. And grooming he is doing. He's definitely had a kill. I'd love to investigate the area more, see if we can see signs of a kill or the hyenas, but of course, I can't risk losing Mr. Tingana here. Believe it or not, he can give the slip when he wants to. Nothing on Tandy's level, but you know. It's so good to see him. I've been incredibly unlucky with the Tingana sightings. I really haven't seen him in so long. But he comes and he goes. He's got a huge traverse now. I'm not sure traverse is the right word, but he has a huge home range. Because he has gone nomadic, we can't say he's a territory holder anymore. So if he's not got a territory, then he's got a home range. And it's huge. Nkoro, Torchwood, Bufosuk, Djuma, Simbambili, Arathusa. I'm guessing he's been on Hoffman's. Little Gowrie, Chitwa. Huge. But you've come back to quarantine, haven't you? Yeah, he's got blood on his face. A big disgrace. Too early for that? Okay. Klangula's also a very impressive male leopard in terms of size, but Tingana still trumps in terms of physique. And Hukamuri, who we'll never forget, we must always talk about him and how wonderful he was. He was a gorgeous leopard, but nowhere near as big as Tingana. Tingana's dewlap goes on for days. Oh, Lisa, I agree. He looks fabulous for an old boy. And it just shows you, it obviously came to that stage in his life where I talk about energetics as the currency quite often on live drives. And it obviously came to that point where being his age, being a territory holder, was just eating far too much into his energy budget. Is that not right, Tingy? Ting Bada Bing. The leopard with the most nicknames. The sausage is my favourite, but anyway, it obviously got to the point in his life where being territorial, it takes up about 25%, 26% of a male leopard's energy budget. And that's obviously an average figure. It will differ across the board, but that's a quarter. A quarter of the energy budget taken up by territorial patrol. You still got to hunt. You still got to be mobile. So maybe he was just running into too much of a deficit all the time and it just wasn't working. And slowly but surely he just went nomadic. He's silent. He knows there's competitors around. He knows Klangula. He knows quarantine. He probably knows Tortoise Ban. Mulwati. It's better to stay silent. Don't attract attention to yourself. Oh, Tingy. What's that? Ouch. Oh. It's superficial, but it's deep. That's 2 leopards we've seen now with injuries. Tingy and Moya the other day also had quite an injury on her back leg. I'm just watching him, everyone, to see which direction he takes. I'm going to try my very best to follow him. And hopefully we can spend a little bit longer with the Duke.
As one of the industry's best and Fagasa endorsed training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a Fagasa accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Moore Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
What fascinates me most about the animal circle of life is the intricacies between the large and the very, very small. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and find the large. Once you found the large, the cascading effect down to the small absolutely fascinates me. Alertness and situation awareness is by far the #1 aspect for protecting ourselves out on safari.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
This is a battle of 2 great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Good morning and welcome back to Eco Training Pridelands. We're just busy enjoying a beautiful sunrise, which we would like to show you. In the meanwhile, what we've been up to is a little bit of birding, looking at what the birds are up to. Some Egyptian geese that came over, some yellow-billed hornbills that came to visit, some crested francolins. And we also had a little barred owlet that's calling from across the dam. We hope that we can potentially find him a little bit later. One of my favorite small birds of prey. We'll most likely start heading off very soon now that the sun is out and we can actually start properly seeing the tracks. In the meanwhile, we'd just like to provide you that opportunity to enjoy that sunrise as well as listen to the sounds of nature. At this time of the year, there's not a lot of birds that are calling, and we also find that the calls are very brief in the morning. That's normally birds that will just proclaim their territory. However, in the next few months, when we get our rain back from late October, November, and the birds will start calling again when their breeding season starts. That's one of my favorite times of the year, to actually sit and listen to all those bird calls. It's such a great start to the day. Makes me absolutely miss summer. Oh, we're going to hand you back to Lauren. Lauren is on the move, and let's go and see what she has on that side.
Tingana did go into the thicket, I'm afraid, but we can hear impala going crazy at the other side of quarantine. I think there's another predator. Whether we find the other predator or not, I can't be sure. But I think there's another predator here. Leopard, hyena, I'm not sure. But the impala are extremely upset. Now, we are passing the dam, but I'm not going to stop because, as many of you know, well, you can see that on the jam cam, and time is of the essence in the morning. You've got to get there or the predator's gone. Luckily, we got to Tingana this morning because already he's gone. My fingers. Come on, fingers, keep working. So we're just going to keep racing ahead right now and see if we can see tracks, see impala, or see the predator itself. It's cold. My lips have started to freeze. This is all because I said I don't see anything on quarantine. Quarantine's decided to prove itself wrong. We will just get up here and turn off. It's always important to turn off. Our engines are very, very loud. There's something up here. Hold on, let me just have a little look. I saw something very, very small running in the grass. I wonder if it's one of the more nocturnal animals running. Let's just stop here for a moment. See if we can hear the impala. If we don't, we'll go further up ahead. FC, can you just let us know that you're there? And this is why the job is so... You have to be hyper aware, hyper sensitive at all times. You have to look for tracks, listen for those impala, and use your eyes to see if anything's moving, all at the one time. And your sense of smell, kills, scat, even just the animal itself, you will be able to smell. don't hear impala. I hear the birds. No luck. Oh, the impala were calling around here. Sorry, that's all. Danny, you're asking, does the weather affect the predators? I think it's seasonal, Danny. We're now in winter, remember. It's a whole different ball game in terms of resources, water availability, prey availability. It's barren, there's no moisture, and the temperatures are very, very low, which means if you are a mammal, like we are, you're hungry, you're cold. And how are you going to warm up? You're going to warm up through eating, moving and eating, which is what we all love to do. So in winter, the predator action that we get to see is a lot higher. The sort of interspecific interactions as well increases. I don't hear the impala anymore. It could have just been a hyena walking by, of course. But let's keep scratching around. Dobby sees an impala. Where do you see it? Back there. I wonder if we should check the western edge. The alarm calls were coming just a little bit too far away from Tingana. Absolutely. Males will remain fertile with the ability to mate until they die. And of course, because it's so biological, it's run at a real chemical level. If a lady of the Sabi sands comes into estrus, absolutely he will, 100%. He may behave a little bit differently, because he's obviously got to claim that lady and look after her for a prolonged amount of time. He may behave a little bit differently, but absolutely, it's a biological urge. He won't be able to sort of resist a female in estrus, driven by chemicals. So yes, I think he's still mating. I just don't think he'll be as vocal about it. Because if another male comes, or even a whiff of another male in the air, Tingana will go. I think he'll leave the lady. The lady. What are we saying here? The lady. But yes, I don't think he'll actively defend that female, if that makes sense, or try to, because he's no longer a territorial male. But he'll mate, 100%. Oh, Tingy, it was short and sweet, wasn't it? Cameraman's giving me directions. Okay, we're going to do our very best to try and relocate either Tingana or that other predator who I think is in the area.
Good morning and welcome back to Pridelands. We're still out on bushwalk. We haven't really started our walk as such in terms of putting in any distance. It's just been such a stunning morning here at the dam with the sun rising and our hippos still being out here. In the meanwhile, we've just been listening to the sounds of nature. Quite often, the different sounds of animals in the distance will indicate their presence, and that will also be a determining factor into which direction we go. So generally, we need a little bit more light so that the tracks can start showing up. And then we can make a deduction of which animals actually visited the dam and which direction they left. And then from there, we also will use it as a determining factor in which direction we might go for the morning. Ipa's just got a friend. There's some oxpeckers that's just landed on him. It doesn't seem if he's too happy about them. You'll see that the oxpeckers quite often go down towards the waterline because the parasites will start moving upwards, away from the water. He's actually showing some form of life. Normally he's dead quiet. In the case of the oxpeckers, they play a very important role for him in removing the parasites. And in some cases, they also play an important role of warning mammals of potential threats. You'll also sometimes find that the oxpeckers can actually open wounds and aggravate these wounds by allowing flies now to come in and lay their eggs in those open wounds. For the oxpecker, that's a benefit because they will also come and feed on the larvae of these flies. They actually got quite a weird diet if you think of it. Ticks, so mostly blood that they engorge, and then they also indulge into earwax every now and then by going into the ears and feeding on that. As far as I know, oxpeckers as well as honey guides are the only birds that have that ability of being able to digest wax.
We've done a loop. We found impala. Was it you guys? Was it you guys making all of that noise? Can you tell me what you saw, please, dear? Wouldn't that be amazing if the animal said, "Yeah, hey, Lauren, nice to see you. We saw Tlalamba." It would probably ruin part of the magic of being out here. Listening is a really key skill out here, and sometimes if you close your eyes, it feels very uncomfortable, but it means you can tune into your ears a lot more. Your brain all of a sudden starts really focusing on the ears. Your senses don't change their capabilities. Your senses don't get stronger or weaker, but yes, they do become heightened. And what that really means is that your sort of brain or you yourself are tuning into that sense more. So it seems like your sense is getting stronger.
Standing by, Aubrey.
Because I left the branch where he was walking across there. So you'll see the branch if you're coming from the bush branch to the west.
Sorry, I'm just keeping the radio on because both Aubrey and I are trying to find a potential culprit. Bear with me, everybody. She was just teasing us, don't worry. Okay, everyone, let's hope that Wendy stays with us today, and we are going to send you over to Cedric, who's on the move.
So we did check the northern boundary. Unfortunately, nothing. It might have been the sound of the lions might have been coming a bit more north. So now we're driving south on Chitakat line. Yeah, I think we'll stick in that area for now. Maybe check Twin Dam. It's going in where we saw that leopard yesterday afternoon. Never know, but hopefully we can find something. Also, the Talamatis, last time we saw them at Treehouse Dam, looked like they were heading southeast. So we never know, might bump into them, but there's no report of them yet. I'm really hoping to find a leopard today. And a good sighting where we can spend a bit of time with the animal. Oh, now there was a leopard very close to camp, though. That was cool. So on our left hand side now it's Torchwood, and on our right hand side is Djuma. Stacey, you would like to know how far we move at night? Oh, we can move a very long distance. For example, male lions, when marking territories, we can walk 20 kilometers in one night. So they can move quite fast. But the pride, I'm not sure. Generally they walk and see what we can find, and they might also kill something, and then they will stay stationary with the kill. But they can cover a very big distance. Oh, you see that? Okay, so I'm just going to stop here. We might have a nice look of orange breasted bush shrike on the tree there, jumping around. I think it will be a bit difficult, but it's in that tree. We go in the opening there. There we go. I think it is an orange breasted bush shrike. It's a beautiful bird, but they move a lot. So we did get a quick sighting of it. Yeah, it's very, very difficult to catch them on camera. There's lots of buffalo dung on the road, so there was definitely buffaloes here. Maybe we might find them. It looks like we're going in the other direction though, but we came from that side and we didn't see nothing. They might have crossed in the block. Okay, so we'll continue here and see what we can find, and in the meantime we will send you to John, who would like to say hello.
So good morning from a rather chilly Tswalu Kalahari. It's just before sunrise. We're just about to go over the first dune of the morning, and we should start seeing that beautiful, beautiful warm glow of the sun coming through. But as you can see, another fantastic morning, some incredible scenery to start the morning with. My name is John. I'm going to be your guide for the morning here in this beautiful reserve. Behind the camera, we've got Gerrit. So we're gonna start driving. Let's head out. Hopefully we can pick up some big cats again, and maybe see what those lions got up to. But enjoy the morning, and thanks for joining us. Morning, Gabby. Thank you for watching us this morning. Springbuck are very typical of the more arid, dry regions. So I'll give you an example of why they certainly couldn't survive in all locations. If you look at this very arid environment, we do not have a lot of parasites out here. And parasites, I'm referring to ticks. So in areas where there's more water, higher rainfall, lusher vegetation, you're going to get a huge amount of parasites. And animals from this drier environment, they will not have the immunity. They will not have built up a resistance to the diseases carried by a number of the parasites in our country. A great example is from the early days of the Kruger National Park, when it was first officially declared a national park. The springbuck is the national animal. Not knowing any better, the conservationists of those days moved some springbuck through to the Kruger Park to have the national animal in the first national park. And needless to say, they didn't survive. They became diseased within a very short time and didn't make it. Obviously, the conservationists realized very quickly that it wasn't their prime habitat, and for obvious reasons, they were never put back there. So no, they unfortunately, they wouldn't survive in all locations. More typical, like I say, of this dry, arid region, and not so much because of food and water, but because of what the parasites can do to them. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful springbuck, and he's like I was waiting for the sun to catch this nice open patch. But let's continue. Let's head out, get a bit further into the park, and see who's up and about this morning. So let's get up this dune and see the sunrise coming up from behind the mountains.
The importance of forests cannot be underestimated. Over 1 billion people live in and around forests, depending on them for fuel, food, medicine, and building materials. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is the national implementer for a program called LEAF. The LEAF program makes use of indigenous forests grown on school properties to teach pupils about biodiversity. This directly instills a sense of ownership of the natural surroundings and reconnects children with our biomes and heritage. WESA needs your help to bring nature back to schools. Ask your school to join the program through the link on their website. Together with WESA, you can help take this incredible program to schools across the country.
Africa is very special, and when you come down here, even when you're watching through our camera, the landscapes change from desert to bushveld to up in the Masai Mara where there's grassland. That means that the biodiversity changes as we move along Africa. And what I love most about connecting with you guys is the fact that I get to share these wonderful experiences with thousands of people.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oh.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website. But once registered, just head on over to the live Safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
So we have stopped on top of a sand dune here in the Kalahari, just to show you this incredible scenery. The sun rising at the moment in this part of the world, being quite far northwest. We're seeing the sun popping up over the horizon from about 7:20 in the morning. But isn't that the most incredible scene you could imagine? This beautiful sunrise over the Koranenberg Mountains, and promise of another amazing day for us out here. It is an absolute privilege, and for anyone who's lucky enough to come and visit these places, just an absolute privilege to be able to witness this kind of nature every morning. In particular, if for no other view, just for the morning and the evening skies. You'll notice how quickly the sun will rise, and Heather, we are waiting for you to come and visit, but absolutely at the open spaces out here, and in particular the mountains and the sand dunes, the colors of the sand, the grasses, it gives us the most incredible sunrises and sunsets. And that's why I was referred to it being a privilege. Sadly for most of us in the world, we are living in the bigger cities, and we miss a lot of this. So for us out here that are able to witness this every day, an absolute privilege. But incredible scene this morning. And like I said, with this sun coming up, it's rather chilly here this morning, but as the next short while goes on, the temperature will quickly start to rise, and hopefully that means there's lots of activity this morning. Everybody will want to come out into the sun this morning to try and more warm up. But on that, let's keep moving. We're gonna be heading east, so heading straight towards the sun, and hopefully we can intercept the movement of those lions from yesterday afternoon. They look pretty hungry, so perhaps they've been out hunting. So having just said sunrise is at about 7:20. Sunset out here is about 6:20 at the moment. So our winter season, our days become considerably shorter and much longer nights. But it is incredible because obviously summer, it does the absolute opposite. Early morning sunrises and late evening sunsets. Long summer days. Sure, you can see as we drive along, the wind is out again, so let's hope the animals are cooperating.
I have to say, I'm glad it's not windy here. Not a fan of the wind. I mean, it's cold, but it's not windy. And at least when it's cold, if you race around enough, the animals will still be moving. Give it an hour or so and they're going to go flat. No luck with Tingana. I think he's gone deep into that drainage, full belly, snoozing. So what I'm thinking about doing now is heading to that hyena den. I've become very good at lurking. I think lurking should go on my CV. What do you think, Dov? The lurker. I just hang around the boundary line and just lurk into other people's properties. Yeah, it sounds a little bit creepy, but we are able to view that den. There was lots of hyena audio this morning. As I mentioned, that's why we headed out. That's why we raced out. I thought I was going to be able to catch up with some of the Djuma clanners. And then we bumped into Tingana. Definitely not complaining. I'm just going to put my foot down a little bit, which means it's going to be chilly. If there's lots of action at that den, we'll be able to see it. 100%. Brace this chilly air for now, and we're going to send you guys over to JP on the bushwalk.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We just started looking at a number of plants as well this morning and discussing a number of the medicinal and cultural uses that is associated with these plants. This one that we have over here is known as a weeping wattle or African weeping wattle. Almost looks like the thorn trees, but you can rub your hand through there. No thorns or spines to protect it. However, they do employ tannins to protect them against browsing animals. I also find it particularly interesting plant, as we often find insects that will start sitting on the leaves and on the branches, and known as spittlebugs. And what they do is they start sapping the sap out of the plant, and then the excess sap then starts dripping to the ground. It's also one of the reasons why this tree is called a rain tree, because it's almost like appearing if it's dropping the raindrops from the tree itself. Those are very nutrient-rich raindrops or excess moisture drops then fall to the ground and is eventually reabsorbed by the plant. It's not the only insects that associate with this plant. We also find that bees love these plants when they are flowering. And even beekeepers, for that reason, will plant them quite close by to their beehives so that they can provide a sufficient amount of nectar to their bees, but also attract bees to the area. So if you're out here in a rural area and you have problems with elephants, one of the best things that you can get is actually beehives to protect your crops against elephants that can potentially come and raid your crops, as elephants do not like bees at all. So the cultural and medicinal uses what you can apply this plant for is you can use the bark as well as the leaves. If you do have internal parasites such as tapeworms or something that bothers you, you can then consume these to deal with those parasites. Alternatively, you can also use the roots if you've got a sore throat and stomach ailments to treat those too, as well as for toothache and open wounds. Well, we're going to move off and go and see what else we can go and find.
Welcome back to Tswalu. You can see we are still driving east, heading straight towards this beautiful sunrise. The idea from yesterday afternoon is we did see that pride of lions, and the females were not particularly aware of their surroundings. They were very lazy, but the cubs were incredibly playful, and I think just having seen what we saw, I do believe they are hungry. I didn't see any of those cats showing a full belly, and whenever you see the youngsters so playful and obviously trying to draw mom's attention, there's usually a good reason for it. So our thought this morning is that we would go and see if we could pick up any signs of where they've moved to, with the idea that they, A, might have grabbed something for dinner, or B, they would be actively looking for something to eat. Again, like I was commenting on last night, the conditions for hunting are fantastic for these big cats. There is a strong wind, and predators know that by using the wind in their favor, they can get considerably closer to a potential food source without it smelling him, hearing them. So this wind masks a lot of their movement. And lions, obviously being apex predators, they are fully aware of the conditions and when it is best for them to be hunting. On that point, where they were yesterday, I'm sure they'll be heading to the north. The wind is blowing quite strongly to the south. So in theory, they should be walking straight into that wind. So that question, and I'm not sure if I heard it correctly, if it was what animals would lions kill for food. If that is the right question, the lions would kill honestly almost anything, but bearing in mind they would have to, they themselves, okay, so I did mishear the question. Let me finish with what I was, my first part. They'll kill anything, as long as they can feed, it's big enough to feed them. Lions, honestly, there's nothing that would really kill them for food. Predators in general will try and take each other out to avoid competition, and competition for food. They're all hunting very similar species, so lions being the biggest, strongest, they don't have too much to worry about. Hyenas probably their biggest threat. Other lions, obviously other unrelated lions, different prides, a massive threat. But honestly, not so much killing for food, more to remove competition. Having said that, it's not unheard of for a lion to have been killed or to have died, and animals will eat it. Whether it be another hungry lion or more likely some jackals, hyenas, the vultures, they wouldn't feel too much about eating a lion that is already dead. But in terms of being preyed upon, there's really nothing that will actively prey on lions. Alec, my favorite antelope to see is the roan antelope. And the roan antelope, it's a species that's very uncommon in South Africa. There's a few places where they naturally occur. And in those places where they naturally occur, they're incredibly rare to see. Their numbers are very low. They are very specific to very specific habitats, and very specific to very specific grass types. So they're unfortunately not very common. And for me, it's a beautiful creature. We see them fairly frequently out here at Tswalu. They do naturally occur in this environment. But it's really about they're incredibly beautiful. It's the second largest of our antelope species, so big, powerful looking creatures. And just really good looking animals. And I think for me it's more the fact that until I'd moved out into this part of the world, it's certainly not an antelope I'd ever seen before. And I consider myself fairly well traveled in in African wilderness. So just a real privilege, a treat to see them whenever we do. And they are thriving out here, so always nice to see big, beautiful antelope. After that probably would be things like the eland and the sable, also incredible creatures. I'm sure you can see we're about to go over the next tune and we'll start hitting the waterholes hard and seeing if there are signs of our lions.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're just looking at a number of different plants out here and we're looking at the cultural and medicinal uses of these. This one over here is often referred to as a kakibos. And what we find is that the coloration of, where the name originates from was from the British soldiers during the Anglo-Boer War that had khaki-coloured uniforms that brought in a large number of different feeds for their horses. And then this alien plant became naturalized in South Africa. Quite often they use it for making a spray, and that spray has been sprayed onto animals or onto yourself as well as a tick repellent and insect repellent. The other plant that we have that's over here, this is luscious green plant, which is known as African weeping wattle. And you can just see that it has no thorns, unlike the thorn trees, which it looks very similar to. So some of the uses for this plant is that you can use the leaves as well as the bark for actually getting rid of internal parasites by making a medication out of that. It's also an interesting plant in terms of association with a number of different insects. We often have spittlebugs that occur on these, and they will suck the sap out from the plant. And then the excess moisture that they've obtained then drops to the ground, and that creates a nutrient-rich fertilizer for the soil that the plant will then reabsorb. We also find that in the flowering season, that these plant will create yellow flowers that has a large amount of nectar, and these attract bees. So quite often, beekeepers will also plant these close by to their hives. We've also just mentioned that bees can also be used as a natural control agent to deter elephants from coming towards crops in rural areas. And they do so very effectively, as elephants do not like bees at all.
I made my way to Philemon's cut line. Not much, unfortunately, for us this morning. I'm just going to stop here quickly. There's some impalas on our right-hand side, but I just saw two duikers like flying across the road. So I just want to check if there's nothing coming out. These two duikers crossed the road very, very fast. I'm not sure if they were chasing each other or if there was something coming from the side. I don't see nothing, so maybe what I will do, I will drive slowly along this road. The impalas are looking in that direction too, but they're not alarm calling, so it'd be nice if we can see something coming out of the bush here. Fortunately, so far, I'm not seeing anything. These two duikers was like running very, very fast. Yeah, not much luck for us this morning, but we'll keep on looking. We checked Twin Dam, it was very quiet. I think now we'll do a loop and go check Treehouse Dam. Yeah, so apparently I think if I heard correctly there was lions truck going east and they might have crossed into Torchwood, not sure. But if I get any update on that, I might follow up. So it is my last day with you guys today, so I will also be joining you in the afternoon. So 2 more drive, hopefully we can find something nice. I'd love to see a leopard today. Kevin, you would like to know what have been my highlight at Djuma. I hope that my highlight is still coming, but so far I think Tavangumi lying next to, well, standing very close to me on the drive. And also following the Talamati Pride. I think we got good sighting with the Talamatis, that was very nice. So a lot of highlights, and also for me to have this experience of spending some time with you live from the bush, that is quite amazing. It is very, very nice that we've been able to do that and showing you some nice sighting from all around, well, to all around the world. But I really hope that my highlight is still coming. Maybe a leopard kill or something, but I'm being very optimistic now. I haven't seen an elephant for a while now. Look like there are lots of elephant. Nice to see some elephant today too. In the last few days we saw more lions than elephant. Okay, so we will see what we will do now, and in the meantime we will send you to Lauren at Chitwa.
We've arrived at Chitwa. No luck with Tungano. Check the hyena den. No luck with hyena den. And I think this is a cuckoo. It's very difficult to tell from here. But you can see the tail feathers are not looking in good condition, but they've got that really broad, thick black tail with the coppery, sort of real chestnut color on the sides. I think it's a cuckoo. It's all fluffed up because it's freezing, just like I am freezing, but unfortunately I can't fluff up. My fingers are slowly starting to receive blood again, which is joyous. And if we go to the top of that marula dove, we have another bird. exactly looks equally as cold. Mr. Heron or Mrs. Heron. Not ready to come down. Not ready to take flight yet and move from his wonderful little roosting position. You can hear the Egyptian geese not happy. But this is actually the drainage line to the west of Chitwa Dam Wall. So if Davi can give you a view of it, it actually takes you straight to the owner's house. But in here, there's lots of areas still with water. I'm going to drive forward a little bit, Dav, and you're able to see some puddles, still water. And this is where little Maribs and Mr. Shasha have been spending, you see that over there, spending the bulk of their time in this little drainage line. So it's always worth stopping on the dam wall to admire the dam, yes, but also to look and see if there's any movement. There's water, there's shade, it's dense. I'm sure it receives lots of sun. There's lots of hiding places here, which is exactly why the young boys like it. I don't see anything. Right now, though. We'll give you a view of Chitwa Dam. It's a different dam to look at in the morning. It's still full to the brim. Sorry, it's a wonderful Eastern channel. It is such a joy to listen to. But I am going to scratch around Chitwa. I've got a good feel this morning. We're going to send you over to JP with an insect.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. At this time of the year, there's not a lot of insect life available, and that's one of the reasons why so many different birds actually migrate out of this area. However, we were very fortunate to find this bitter acrea that we've just located on this cornflower Vernonia. So these butterflies, you'll notice, has got quite bright colors, orange as well as black and white. So the upper part of their wings are actually much brighter than the underparts. This is also quite an interesting strategy, which I will explain into a moment. But those bright colors generally indicate that they are toxic and unpalatable and are therefore left alone by a number of different bird species. We also see that a number of different butterflies will actually mimic other butterflies which are toxic. However, they're not toxic in any way. We generally find that those mimics are not very common because by crying wolf too often, you'll give away your own game, and therefore the strategy of being overlooked and seen as a toxic butterfly will then not be in your favor. They actually did a study on one of the groups of butterflies a few years ago. I think it was specifically the African monarch and then monarch mimics that they found that when they feed the mimics to birds that were in captivity that has never been exposed to these toxic butterflies, they will gladly take them. But once they feed them one African monarch and they discover that they're distasteful and toxic, they will never ever eat one of the mimics again afterwards. We also see that coloration schemes are also often found in a number of different organisms. Black, white, orange combinations of red and other colors that are bright are often used to deter predators. We find black and white colorations in animals such as a striped polecat, also the honey badger, which is also dangerous animals, and even porcupines. The black and white will act as warning colors.
I'm Maggie, also known as Mia My Cat on Twitter. I purchased the Ticket to Dreams so that I would make it back to Africa someday, so here I am. I enjoy WildEarth very much. Just the experience it brings to everybody, it just helps everybody cope with things.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My favorite part about today is seeing Maribs, seeing him stalk the waterbuck and seeing the interaction between the waterbuck and him, and he's just an impressive little guy.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
It's very exciting to be on a live drive at Djuma, to see how things work in the back and to be certainly much closer to the animals.
My favorite animal is a leopard, purely because I just think they are just the epitome of feline grace and power, and the way they can move about in any environment and remain hidden until they want to be seen, I just find incredibly intoxicating, and they're amazingly beautiful.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi everyone, my name's Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond in Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond in Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
So we have actually already now found tracks of that big pride of lions, and I suggested earlier that they should be heading north based on the direction of the wind, and they are in fact heading north, the tracks, but they've cut off the road and are basically should be following the line of a valley. So we are checking the road that will cut through that valley to see if they have crossed this area. And so far we are coming up with nothing. Evident in the tracks is that it is the whole group, so the cubs are following, and that can mean one of two things. One, they're moving with the intention of looking for food. Here we go, we've picked up the tracks again. They're looking for food, or B, Mom has already made a kill and she's taking everyone to go and eat. But luckily for us, they are often walking along the roads, and that's exactly what they've done. So Gerrit just helped us there. He just saw the track where it turned off the road. They are following the roads, like I said, but the Joy, unless you are a skilled tracker, and I certainly don't consider myself to be the most skilled if I compare myself to the many amazing trackers we have spread throughout South Africa. But in my opinion, certain tracks are very distinct. In the right soils, the right sands, you'll pick up most tracks quite easily. But for obvious reasons, the bigger animals are always the easier tracks to see, whether it be a herd of elephant, a group of rhinos, a herd of buffalo. But a lot of the animals, their tracks are distinct. Whether or not you actually know what the track is you're looking at, that's a different story. But yeah, I think a lot of them are fairly easy to pick up. But it certainly helps if you know what you're looking for and you're interpreting the animal's behavior and movement. That's something that we do see. Lions are incredibly territorial, and being territorial, they'll aggressively fight to defend their territories. So it does happen. It has certainly happened, and it will continue to happen. There will be conflict. They try and avoid each other by roaring, by marking territory. Scent marking territory with urine. But because territories are aggressively defended and the home ranges less so, they will sometimes bump into each other around their, when they're moving through their home ranges. Unfortunately, that typically leads to a fight. We don't see it too often, but I'm sure it happens more often than we know. I'm sure you can see this is an interesting road we're on. It's getting a little rocky here, but let's have a look. We're going to struggle our way up this little mountain pass and send you across to Cedric.
Welcome back with me. Making our way to quarantine. Sorry about that. Hi. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we're going to try to look on the eastern side now, next to Central Road. Might be a sighting there. I'm not sure yet what sighting. The communication was not great. So I will just going to go look. Hopefully there will be something nice. Yeah, I couldn't really hear on the radio, but I decided to make my way anyway there. Yeah, so we're going to drive past Gary Dam and then go east. Hopefully there will be some activities as well at Gary Dam. We did quite a lot of driving already this morning. Unfortunately, no luck. Kushaya World School, you would like to know in what way the tail of a leopard is helping the leopard? Yeah, the tail is quite thick. You will see it's quite big. There's a few reasons. It helps the leopard keep their balance while climbing trees, but also while running. Obviously, it has a little effect when they run and they have to turn, so it helps them to balance. And also, it helps them to see their mood. When they swing the tail a lot, it is like they are getting excited. But that's not helping the leopard, it's helping us to read the animal behavior. But when they have cubs, you will see that the mother's tail at the end is quite white. So they will use this white patch at the end of the tail as a communication device, if I may say. So basically, it will be easier for the cubs to follow the mom in the long grass by looking at this white patch on the tail. Yeah, but it helps them to balance as well, as I was saying. It's a bit similar for the cheetah. Cheetah has very thick tail, but they run very fast, as you know. So when they are chasing an animal and they have to make a sudden turn, you will see the tail swinging side to side, so that's helping them as well to balance. Obviously, for the cheetah, because they are running much faster, it is a little bit more important to have this big tail. We're almost at Gary Dam now. It is quite quiet here on the open plains, maybe because Tingana was around last night. I don't see any impalas or any other animals here. There we go. Just arrived at Gary Dam. Donovan, you would like to know where the Telematis ended up last night? No, I'm not sure. They might be east of Djuma or might have crossed to Torchwood. This is what we're going to try to see now. I got a report, but I'm not sure if it's from the lions or another animal. But we're going to go look now. We're not too far from where the other vehicle was. Hopefully they're still here and we can find them. We're looking at a beautiful grey heron there on top of a tree. It is quite a nice morning. It's not windy and less clouds than yesterday actually. I don't see much clouds. Okay, so I think let's try to head in that direction and see what we can find there. Sorry, I'm just checking something quickly. Not much. Okay, so yeah, we'll be driving on Central Road and see what's happening there. We did pass Treehouse Dam. This was where we saw the lions last night, but there was nothing there. It was very quiet. Hopefully we get better luck soon. Okay, so we'll continue and see if there's anything interesting there. Hopefully we'll be lucky.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We just made our way back to Elephant Dam as that we heard a large amount of commotion in the distance, and that's elephants that are busy making their way into this direction, but they still seem to be quite far off. But as it's going to be considerably warmer than yesterday, I would expect that there's going to be more activity coming towards this dam in the next hour or two. And meanwhile, we've also located a grey heron on the opposite side of the dam. Quite often we find grey herons at these dams, and sometimes we even find them riding on top of hippos. I can remember one that used to quite often do that. With a larger heron species, they tend to be more focused on standing still and waiting for prey to come towards them, and then will kill them when they're in striking distance. These guys normally go for frogs as well as fish. With a smaller heron species, we tend to find that they are quite often more active feeders, and in some cases they will also run after prey as well as disturb them with their feet. And one of my favorite strategies is that of this heron that's known as a black heron, which is an all-black heron that actually will use its wings like an umbrella canopy and fold it over its head to create a shadow and then attract the fish to come towards it and then wait till it's in striking distance. One of the other heron species which we find quite often is known as a striated heron or green-backed heron, and these guys too have a very fascinating way of actually attracting their prey. And they've actually learned to take food particles, throw that into the water, and then wait for the fish to be coming towards that food particle and strike at the fish when it's in striking distance.
So we're currently on Central Road, driving towards Cheetah Cut Line, and I'm going to see what's there. If I understood well, there might be some lions in the area, so I'm trying to find them. It's getting a bit warmer now. Felicity would like to know if I guided in other countries. No, I didn't. Only in South Africa. But I've been to Tanzania on safaris, which was very nice. A dream of mine is still to see Botswana. Been to Zimbabwe as well, very nice. The good news is that I still have a lot to discuss. And I need to stop here quickly. These impalas are going to cross the road. Look, ooh, that's nice. Okay, so we'll continue on this road, see what we can find there, maybe find these lions, and in the meantime we'll send you to Lorraine.
We have the usual suspects in the usual place. For some reason, these zebra are always here on the fire break. Sort of junction Gowrie Main, if you like. They seem to really thoroughly enjoy it. Could actually be for a multitude of reasons. I think I'm going to reverse for Davi here. Hold on. No luck with any signs of my reefs, I'm afraid, but I'm not giving up. I'm still going to scratch around. I think I'll go all the way back. If you ever want to improve your reversing skills, become a guide. Reverse like a pro. Nicer views of them here. Tell me when, Dove. Yep. There we go. So finding the zebra here could be for a multitude of reasons, and normally with any species, I guess, it's normally down to A, food, naturally, and B, safety. And of course, because this area is the fire break and it has been, well, burnt to the ground, they can see. They can see for miles. I mean, it's also winter, but the visibility here is incredible. The number of predators is also incredible. So in that respect, they need to be able to constantly look around, constantly know what's going on around them. The Nkuhumas, we thought we were going to get them on Chitwa, but they're just off of Chitwa. I'm not sure if they're on a kill or not. They're on the vessel's little Gowrie cut line, so unfortunately we were not able to get there. There's lots of lions around, which is exactly why these guys need to be careful. Zebra crossing. You gotta love that. That joke will never get old. But yes, they also prefer to eat. Zebras will often be found in areas after fire. They prefer to eat those short shoots of grass and also vegetation that has been burned to the ground. And I wonder if that's those two reasons are why we are finding these zebra every single day. Oh, there's a water buck. Hello, guys. This must be the place to be. Hello, boy. Well, Keisha, you're asking about young zebras, foals, how long they stay with mum for. It's normally sort of leave the herd on their own accord, might I ask, around 2 years of age. But they will stay with mum as long as they can until they can be abducted. I know that sounds a rather strange term to use when it comes to animals, but they can actually be abducted by the males, especially males that are starting their own harems. It's a harem social structure, so you'll have one male with all his females around him that he ferociously protects. Sorry. So the males actually can abduct these young females from their natal herd, and the younger the female, the better. So I think they will try to stay with mom for as long as they possibly can for safety, and that's normally around about 2 years. they have a long gestation period. The gestation period's a year. And the females will only give birth to one foalet at a time. So those females will stay with mom, in the protection of mom, for as long as they can. They can also be very vocal. They will alarm call. Vivian, that's a slightly tricky question because naturally as the animal gets older, it's going to get bigger. The skin is going to stretch. So technicality, it will get bigger. But the actual stripe pattern itself does not change. And that's how you are able to identify zebras as a specialized area. You can identify them individually. And they hold on to this pattern from when they're a juvenile into adulthood. And that's one of the key things when it comes to identifying. They must not change their stripe pattern from the immature phase into the adult phase. But of course, it's getting bigger, so yes, the stripes will stretch. The skin stretches. The animal's growing, is developing more muscle, and of course getting taller. So at a technical level, yes, it will stretch. But the stripe pattern remains the same. And they're actually really large animals. I mean, their shoulder height just under 1.5 meters. And they can weigh up to 350 kg. Big animals. Oh. What just happened there, you lot? We've actually got 3 male water bucks. All in a row. You see, everyone became alert. They heard something, clearly something that I didn't hear. And immediately everybody reacted. It benefits them to hang out like this. You see those hugely powerful jaw muscles. So even although they're not carnivores, they're grazers. They will occasionally browse in desperate times, but they're grazers. They need to constantly grind, and break down their food. They're not ruminants, though. You won't find them chewing the cud. They're hindgut fermenters, which is why they're rather gassy. Zebras are known to have gas problems, but that's okay. And as hindgut fermenters, it's said to be 2/3 as efficient as the likes of a wildebeest at extracting protein, but 2 times faster. So they can eat, process twice as much food in any given time, in any conditions. But in terms of nutrition, it's not as efficient. It's got a faster rate of digestion. That's why you'll always find a zebra eating, and they're quite unselective about it. Quantity over quality. Butterfly. You're saying the zebras look so clean. They do. I think zebras very often look shiny and clean. But I must say, when we were down at Marataba, all of us were really surprised at how white and crispy and clean the zebras were down there. Definitely cleaner than these guys. Sorry. But I do agree with you, Butterfly. They always look very clean. They always look very shiny and healthy. But even if a zebra is sick, it's very difficult to tell, even if they're not healthy, because they'll still be very fat. And this is due to the gas. That big bulbous tummy is gas. Large quantities of it, and it inflates their bellies. And it's best not to look at that sort of feature to determine health. It's not like they're going to lose weight and their tummy's going to go down, because they're still going to be very gassy. What you do look for is the mane on the neck. You see that beautiful mane that Davi's just shown you now? It stands upright. It's quite erect. It's very rigid, coarse hair. And usually when they're sick and really unwell or unhealthy, the hair is no longer stays upright. It will sort of flop over and give them more of a floppy mane. And that's the best indicator of health in zebras, believe it or not. Don't look at their tummy. Don't look at the fact that they still look very full, because they are full of gas. And zebras are notorious for running away from their own flatulence. So when they do seep some gas out, they get such a fright, they're not aware of where it's come from, and they all run. So when you see zebras fleeing, it's not always an indication of predator. Sometimes it can just be an indication of flatulence. My beagle does the exact same thing, except she blames everyone else in the room. Okay, so we are going to leave these zebra, bumble up cheetah cut line, and see what else we can find.
As the sun goes down in Africa, for many, the day has just begun. WildEarth is ready for the next brand new concept, and this time it's at night. A specialized thermal drone will take to the air under the cover of darkness. As it flies above the bush, it will be searching for hotspots on the ground.
We might have a leopard on the far right of this group of hyena.
The ground team will then be called to identify the animal.
It is a warthog. That's exactly what it is. So there we go. It was a warthog that was running away from... Sorry, Warty.
And of course, it is at this time when the big cats are on the hunt.
Yeah, James just head a little bit more left.
Okay, Gabi, I'm going to go north around on Impala Road.
Okay, the lions are on the move, guys. Lions are chasing the wildebeest.
WildEarth is looking for a sponsor who can help turn this show to a long-running series. If you are interested, then head over to our website to find out more. wildearth.tv/sponsors.
Hi, I'm Nikki, your guide here at andBeyond in Ngala. So my favorite animal in the African bush definitely has to be the zebra. Because like people, with our fingerprints, every single zebra has a different stripe pattern. And, of course, a group of zebras together is called the dazzle. How unique is that? Come and join me or one of my colleagues here in Ngala for a sunrise and sunset safari on WildEarth.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hello, I'm Marna, your WildEarth Safari Guide from andBeyond Ngala. What I really like about connecting with WildEarth viewers is that we get to speak to viewers instantly, and I get to show you this beautiful property. If you want to ask me a question, register on the WildEarth website. Simply head over to the live safari page and you can submit your questions there. Join me or one of the other guides twice a day on WildEarth.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We just heard a commotion of elephants in the distance and we thought that they were actually making their way back towards the water. It's possible that something was actually distressing them. We also just found a group of vervet monkeys over here and some impalas. The impalas unfortunately spooked, something bothered them. And it's amazing how quickly those monkeys actually focused on the alarm call that was created by the impala. They all jumped up and classically sometimes they stand up like a little human being on 2 feet looking into the distance. One of them also ran up into the tree to go and try and see what's going on. However, they now relaxed again. If we have a look at what they're up to, one of them is busy drinking there right in the front. The second one directly behind him was one that could be identified as a dominant male, as he's got an incredibly large size and a very bright blue testicles, which is indicative of the most dominant individuals. Directly behind him, there's a group of them that's all huddling together. And what you'll notice is that they're busy grooming one another and they're taking parasites off one another's coats, and you sometimes see a little hand going back into the mouth as if they eat a tick or something that has been taken off the coats of others. I find it particularly interesting to watch animals that they are grooming, and the function is not only just to remove the parasites, but it's also to build friendly relationships between group individuals. And it's a very common behavior that we see amongst primates such as vervet monkeys as well as baboons. It's not the only animals that do it. We also find that quite often impala will groom one another, and they specifically do that also to remove parasites off the coats from one another. But we also see, once again, for the purpose of building friendly relationships. And we also see quite often that the impalas will do that on the little spots, which is hard to reach. So, coming back to the monkeys, let's see what they're getting up to. They're still busy grooming one another. The young ones were playing a little bit earlier. That's one of the things that I really like about young little vervet monkeys. They can be incredibly playful. Sometimes you'll see that they want to try and even play with other species of animals. Quite often in rest camps in Kruger National Park, I've noticed where young vervet monkeys want to go and play with a young little bushbuck, which was quite interesting to see. And this young little bushbuck was so unsure about what was going on, but eventually they had a little bit of a game where they played along. We're going to stay here for a bit longer and see which animals coming in. As it's heating up now, and it's much warmer than yesterday, we think that there's going to be more activity over here for today. But let's see what John has on offer.
So we have lost our lion tracks. We had them for a good portion of time, but they've unfortunately turned into a rather deep valley, and certainly no access with the vehicle. So we've tried to predict their movement from there, and we'll be skirting around to see if we can pick anything up coming out. But unfortunately, we have lost them for the time being. As part of our trip out to look for them, we'll end up at another waterhole, and obviously the hope is that that's where they are heading towards. Certainly the waterhole we're going to is incredibly productive for wildlife, so it would be a prime spot for them if they are hunting, if they are hungry. For sure that would be a good direction for them to head towards. But it is finally starting to warm up. So there's a lot of bird activity. All the canaries, all the waxbills are out, and with that, the wildlife should be showing a little bit more face now. We'll catch up with you in a short while. We should be at the waterhole by then. But for now, we must send you over to Cedric, who's watching some bird life.
So we did find a bateleur. It's always nice to find birds when you struggle to find bigger animals. We are on the same road when, I think it was yesterday or the day before, we saw two battlers together. It is the same road, so it might be one of the two individuals that we saw a couple of days ago. They are beautiful birds. And we always see them, well, I always saw them here on dead trees. Obviously in the morning they can get a bit of sun, but also it makes it easier for them to land on the branch and to have a better viewing point as well. So the other name is also the short-tailed eagle, but the more common name is the battler. Yeah, we're quite struggling today. Fortunately, didn't see much, but this happened, so maybe we'll continue and try to focus on the smaller things, on birds, and maybe if we focus on that, we'll find bigger animals. Kevin, you would like to know why do they have such a short tail? I'm not sure actually. I think this is the way they are designed. When they are younger they have a tail, but when they lose the tail, when they get to adulthood, I don't know why they lose the tail. I'm not sure. I will try to make a little research on that, maybe during the day today, and maybe this afternoon if I get an answer I will answer that. But when they are younger, they do have a tail, and when they lose the tail, but yeah, I'm not sure why. If any of you knows, please drop a comment. Oh. So generally when they go to the bathroom like that, they might start flying just after. Lots of birds does that. They just make themselves a little bit lighter and then they start flying. But it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't look like that you want to move. Okay, so because we have about 1 hour still, I think we'll try to continue on the road and try to find something a little bit more interesting. Yeah, let's go and see if we can find you another nice sighting for this morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We're still at Ndlovu Dam waiting for the elephants to come down, but we heard earlier something was distressing them, so there was a lot of alarm calls going on. Now we've got some impala that came down to drink. They were here a little bit earlier as well, but they are also incredibly skittish. And when we saw them the first time, they ran off and alarm called. And they alerted a group of vervet monkeys that was very curious about what they were busy doing. They're now relaxed and started drinking again. Two in the front and the water at the moment. That's towards the left. Those are both rams. And then slightly towards the right, if you notice, there is a ewe. It's one of the species where we'll find that the males and females can be separated fairly easily by that the males have horns. These two guys seem to still want to have a go at one another. However, the breeding season has actually come to an end. So coming back to the differences between the males and the females, we also generally find that the males are much larger than that the females are, and also obviously having horns. And this is typical of antelope species which we find that occurs in thick wooded secluded areas such as the savannas of southern Africa. If we compare them to antelope species, which occurs in open grassland plains, there we again find that both male and female will have horns. And the reason is so that the female needs her horns to defend herself and her young against potential predators. In an environment like this, where it's thick and wooded, it's very simple just to use a basic strategy of freezing. And then from there on, you can decide if you're going to flee or have to fight to survive. We also find that they've got quite an interesting pattern in terms of their colour, going from dark at the top to light at the bottom, which also helps to break up their shape when predators are viewing them.
We found some buffalo houses for you, Dov. They've all sort of started to move into the thicket now, I'm afraid, but it's a really large herd. Can't see all of them, but I can see their tracks and all their delightful dung piles. Really, buffalo can't hide. You can hide, boys. You can run, but you can't hide. They really do leave a mess behind. They trample down all the grasses, which is important. That's their ecological function. They leave behind a lot of waste products. And of course, you can see their tracks everywhere. Generally, buffalo, in my opinion, are the easiest animals to track. From a vehicle, at least. Now, the Nkuhumas are south. Tralamatis are north. So being on Djuma right now is actually quite a wise decision from the buffalo's point of view. And I have to say, I love the sound of buffalo, actually. Just listening to them all move through the grasses. There's actually something quite relaxing about it. Let's just enjoy this moment. Listen to their sounds and watch them moving through the grass. Let's just go forward. The view's not great. How about here, Doc? Joy, I believe so. Not all at once, but naturally any organism with hair, including ourselves, it falls out after a while. Even feathers, if you're a bird, and they regrow. And buffalo do shed their hair. But not in big clumps. You don't tend to walk around finding... Oh, there's one way up Cheetah Cut Line. This is a big herd, actually. I think as we keep driving up, we're going to bump into more and more buffalo. But yes, they do shed their hair. over sort of an organism's lifetime, one strand of hair is not going to stay robust. It's going to break down over time, get damaged, wear and tear. It's made from keratin, after all, which is a strong material in the animal kingdom. But over time, even our hair gets damaged. Split ends, breaks, especially if you colour your hair. Sun damage. But just going back to that ecological role, every species, every organism does have an ecological role, but to be honest, they probably have more than one. They will fit into the ecosystem in more ways that we could ever imagine. It's all very interconnected, but one of the important things about buffalo that I mentioned, sort of trampling down the grasses, is it's got a name, and it's called grazing succession. That's actually what the buffalo are doing without realizing it. So in their process of feeding, all they're doing is feeding. We're just having a jolly good time eating all the grass. They actually trample pastures because A, they're huge and heavy with their bellies low to the ground, and B, they normally travel in great numbers. So they trample the pastures. They're reducing the sort of long, less palatable grass to a very, very short height and quality. So that when it does reshoot again, because it's been trampled, so when that grass reshoots, is far more easily utilized by species like the zebra, talking about that earlier, and wildebeest. And this is known in ecology as grazing succession. That's what they're doing. That's one of their primary roles. Davi, we've got a lot of buffalo up here, and I think we're going to have better views. They're all coming from the Torchwood side. We're on Cheetah Cutline. You see them all just crossing the road one by one. But I think we'll get better visuals up here. So a species doesn't just have one function. It's not a function that they're aware of. It's just a sort of role and roles that they play. Did you get that question, Doug? Mandy, to be honest, I think they're all dangerous. I mean, it depends what context you're referring to here, but I'm guessing you're referring to on foot. I'm going to go with that. They are all dangerous. Buffalo are known to be dangerous, not big. Oh my goodness, this herd is huge. Wow. There's a lot of buffalo here. Okay, let me just go a little bit forward. Can you work with this stuff? Wow. Hello, guys. Top of the morning to you. But yes, buffalo are known, especially the Daga boys, which is a Zulu word, the old boys, the grumpy boys. They're past their reproductive peak. They're sore. Their joints are sore. Mostly they have wounds and they're scarred and they're extremely grumpy. As we all would be when we get older. And they're the ones that are said to be slightly dangerous. They separate from the herd. They're normally found alone or in small groups of other Daga boys. And they are known to charge if they see you on foot. On a vehicle, you still have to be cautious. But they're not as dangerous on a vehicle. You definitely still give them space. And hippos on foot. Well, that's definitely an animal I would not want to bump into on foot. No way. Elephants, obviously we walk elephants a lot on foot. We used to do it during bushwalk in Djuma. They do it at Pridelands. I would say hippos, out of all of them, then buffalo, then elephants. But they're wild animals and they're not used to seeing humans on foot. We have a lot of leopards here that I would say are quite habituated on foot. Hukumuri was one of them, Shadulu's one of them. They're just used to seeing humans, so it's not a threat. But other animals are not. When the humans are on the vehicle, it's a different scenario from when we jump off on foot and we become a primate. We become a bipedal man in their eyes. We become a threat immediately, especially if we're walking towards them, especially if they've got offspring. But I mean, we're surrounded here by possibly 100 buffalo. It's a breeding herd. I can see females of all different ages. I can see youngsters. I've spotted a few males. There's no danger present to us right now. We're not driving into them, giving them plenty of space. They can hear us, they can smell us, and they can see us. It's the Jaga boys, really, that's the biggest worry when it comes to buffalo. There's lots of youngsters here. How sweet. Oh, look at that. Many of you are loving this light, the golden light, the glow. And as they're all walking across the fire break, you can see they're kicking up dust. It's actually very scenic. I will be honest enough to say it's taken me time to fully appreciate buffalo. I've always enjoyed them. I think, Davi, you were saying the same thing recently, but it's only really now that I fully appreciate them. Their presence, their smell, their sound, their biology. What are you guys doing? I really thoroughly enjoy being surrounded by buffalo now.
I like their facial expressions.
Oh, Davi's contributing. He enjoys their facial expressions. Do they have facial expressions, Dav, or are you anthropomorphizing?
Probably.
I'm only teasing. I enjoy them too. Sometimes they just look at you in the most hilarious ways. I had a lot of chats the Safari Guide of the Year about anthropomorphizing. It really is a great topic. It's a spectrum. You can really anthropomorphize, which means you are applying human emotions or human feelings to an animal. Like we are looking at this female here, and I would start to say, I think she's really happy because the way she's looking at us, she's very, very happy. Now that's completely anthropomorphizing. I don't feel that way. That was just an example. But that's an example of being too extreme and anthropomorphizing in that way. Or looking at a dolphin. That's a good example. And saying, that dolphin's smiling. It's happy. No. But the other end of the spectrum is anthropo-denial, where you deny any relation, any emotion, any sort of cognitive ability really to animals. You just treat it as a functioning species. You will not say that that animal is playing. When you see leopard cubs playing, you won't say that. So it's an entire spectrum, and science has moved both ways. It was very much in an anthropo-denial phase at one point, but I think it's becoming more balanced. To anthropomorphize when it comes to animals, a little bit, I personally feel should be encouraged. We're looking at a mammal. I'm a mammal. Yes, different species of mammals. But I feel joy, I feel pain, I feel pleasure, I feel down. Can you honestly say that another mammal wouldn't experience these emotions? No matter how minor or how major, can you really deny them of that? It's an interesting topic, and everyone sits at different points on this fence or this spectrum. But I think it's healthy to be sort of in the middle of this spectrum. Don't deny it, don't sort of indulge too far into it, but don't deny animals of emotions or intelligence. This buffalo's loving this topic, aren't you? There you go. I'm anthropomorphizing. And if we really want to understand animals, you've got to get into their mind. You've got to see how they are navigating their world, their sensory world. Don't deny them of emotions. There's no way that I can feel all of these things and they don't feel anything. We're all animals at the end of the day in one way or another. We're definitely not going anywhere. A, we can't. There's a roadblock. And B, I don't want to.
Across southern and East Africa, the Endangered Wildlife Trust works tirelessly to save species, protect critical habitats, and benefit people. Join the EWT in returning wildlife to the wild. Go to ewt.org.za to find out more and follow our socials to see how you can get involved. Protecting forever, together.
There's a grounding earthiness to this place that we feel in our ancestors. It's a place where, believe it or not, we evolved as a human species, and anyone who's come to Africa will understand that. The connectivity that the continent has to the person and to people's souls is next level. I'm thoroughly looking forward to taking you on your next adventure when we explore all the small and big things.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
My name is Lauren, and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me, and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed.
I love being a cam-up for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Yeah, we were currently looking at some beautiful little beetles that we saw a few days ago as well. But there's one coming back. If you go back on the branch there, one came back. Yeah, it's quite difficult because sometimes they stay in one spot when they catch something and come back. But there was two on this branch, but they left and this one came back. Yeah, they're beautiful little birds. There's currently quite a lot of birds on quarantine. We also had a sighting quickly of a red-crested koran. I wanted to look around here because last night I saw Vero's eagle owl after the show on our way back, so it's easier to see them at night, but I just wanted to check in the trees if I can't find it again, but unfortunately no luck. So I think we'll go try the western part of the reserve now and see what we can find on that side. Yeah, we're doing a bit of birding while we are struggling with bigger animals. Looks like Lauren found a beautiful herd of buffaloes. That's very nice. Yeah, we did also look for Tingana in that area, but apparently he went a bit deep into a drainage line area. Okay, so we'll continue to see what we can find, and we'll send you to JP with buffaloes.
Good morning and welcome back to Bushwalk. We still decided to stay at the dam, seeing that the wind had started picking up, which creates a little bit of unpredictable walking conditions when we are moving through thick vegetation. In the meanwhile, we're still watching our hippo as well as our grey heron that's just directly behind him. Both of these are motionless and they're doing absolutely nothing. A very, very smart move on a cool, cold day like today to conserve as much as possible energy as what you can. Because you never know when your next meal or sufficient meals will be coming your way. So quite often we also find another species of heron quite close by to water bodies. And they look very similar to grey heron, and these are known as black herons. They normally will only come and nest quite close by and to the vegetation overhanging water, and precisely the same type of nesting choice that the grey heron will have. However, when it comes to feeding choices, they tend to go and feed away from the water's edge, where the grey heron will always be feeding close by to the water. So, understanding birds and their behavior can also help you to identify a specific species. In general, there's a few things that we can look at when we are trying to identify birds. The first thing that we always look at is the general impression, size and shape. Yes, it looks like a heron. Does it look like a pelican or does it look like a parrot? In this case, we know that the bird looks like a heron. So therefore, we can go into our bird book, look at a few pages of herons, and that will narrow down our search. Then we can use a size, and we know that these guys are fairly large birds. So we've got a very large heron that we're looking at. And from there, we can start looking at the other details, such as the bill, as well as the feet. And then we can continue looking at the plumage. In this case, we'll have all a black head with a little white middle path in the center. If we do see this heron flying, we'll see that the underwings are all grey in color, compared to that of a black-headed heron or black-headed heron that has got all black head, as well as a black and white underwing pattern. Some of the other things that we can also look at when we are trying to identify birds is their distribution, as most of them are distributed to specific habitat choices, and we can also look on specific maps inside the bird book to where we can find them. However, birds don't always read maps, and we can find birds that don't belong in specific areas or in areas well away from their normal known range. And lastly, we can also use their calls, which is probably one of the most accurate ways of actually identifying a species. We're going to stay here for a little bit longer. Let's go and see what Lauren's up to.
I am not up to very much other than thoroughly enjoying this sighting. I said 100 is way more than 100. I was so off. This is a really, really large herd, almost Masai Mara size. But I wanted to share something I've been reading with you. And it's going back to this anthropomorphizing. Are we really disconnected? No, we're not disconnected. We should be connected. We're all interconnected. Humans are not here to be separate from the natural world. And that's a big problem that the world is suffering from today. We're not separate. What makes us think that we're separate from the natural world? We're part of the natural world, always. And we need to get back into thinking that in order to sort of repair, shall I use that word carefully, or reset our relationship with nature, we must ensure we don't remove ourselves or humankind from the picture. Especially after the pandemic, we need to reconnect. The pandemic is still ongoing, of course. But one of the points that I was reading, especially when it comes to nature documentaries, BBC, National Geographic, Discovery, all of these wonderful documentaries that we watch. Run, little one, run. Go back to mama. What's missing from these documentaries? Planet Earth is great, don't get me wrong, it's amazing, I love it. I love David Attenborough. But what's missing? The buffalo, no. What's missing is any signs of humans. I'm not talking about humans because it's a nature documentary. This little one's having the best day. There are no signs of human. Let me put this question to you. Are there any places left on Earth that have not been touched by humankind? From the North Pole to the South Pole, to the Amazon rainforest, to the Himalayas, to the desert. Are there any places left that have not been touched by humankind? Mankind? I don't think so. We put up fences, we leave garbage, we construct huts and houses and satellites and masts and towers and all sorts. So when you watch these documentaries that are so pristine and perfect, there's not a single sign that humans exist there. Is that really true? It puts us in this fantasy world that... Davi's nodding. Are you agreeing with me, Dav? Oh, wow. Davi's agreeing with me. It puts us in this fantasy world because we all enjoy fantasy and immersing ourselves in movies and stories. But that's not real. We have touched every part of this planet. We're in space. And there's nothing wrong in that. But when you watch these documentaries, it's not really a reflection of the truth. We should be shown signs of humans because we are everywhere. And at the end of the day, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, we're completely interconnected. We are not separate from nature. So when you film a documentary, if there's a fence, there's a fence. It may not look as aesthetically pleasing, yes, of course. But at the end of the day, it's real. If there's a satellite, a mast, if there's a small little hut, there's a small little hut. And that's the reality. We're not separate from nature, we're part of it. And we need to start showing that more. I guess here at WildEarth we do. You see the masts, you see the fences, you see the towers, you see the power lines, you see vehicles. You see me, unfortunately. Fascinating topic. I'm diving deep into that. I just thought I would share it with you. So I think we're just going to try and keep up with this hair just a tad longer. We're going to send you guys over to Cedric.
So we found some dwarf mongoose. So from one of the biggest herbivores to the smallest carnivore that we have here at Djuma. So we're coming out now to warm up a bit in the sun. They're quite entertaining to watch. They're quite small and they weigh only up to 300 grams. So obviously some predators will hunt them, like bird of prey, small carnivores and snakes. So they always have to be careful and look around. Yeah, so we're doing a bit of birding and looking for smaller things in the bush at the moment. Sometimes it is important to look at the small things as well. It's getting a bit warmer now, so I think maybe little bit later the animal will start lying in the shade. So they live up to 6 years old, this little one. Just scratching there, and there's a squirrel on the tree. Fortunately, I don't know if you can see, but there's a squirrel joining the party just on the left. Jumping on the termite mount and going at the back. That was cool. So they spend most of the time active during the day, obviously, and then at night they go hide in the burrows there. So they're mostly, well, strictly diurnal. Of course, at night it will be too dangerous for them to go outside with all the predators, small predators and big predators, walking around. You could see that the genet would like maybe to catch them and feed on them. Yeah, that was quite nice to spend some time with them. I think with the little time we have left, we might start driving. Yeah, so I think what we'll do the western area here and see what we can find. You can see the squirrel came back. Okay, so yeah, I think we will keep on driving. Hopefully we can find something a little bit bigger. Would be nice. Oh. It is getting quite warm now. Ooh, it is nice though, after a very cold morning. The morning was not great for us, unfortunately, but this happens. Hopefully this afternoon we will have a better drive. It would be nice to end on a good note for myself and be able to share quite nice sighting with you on my last drive. So we're just checking something at the back. We might have found something there. Yeah, there we go. Well spotted, Morgan. We spotted a leopard. Yeah, well, that's great. Well done, Morgan. Awesome. Looks like it's on the move. Let's try to follow that leopard. Yeah, so Morgan got a very good surprise for you guys. He spotted a leopard. That was a very good spot. And I should get a visual now. I will stop in that opening there. There we go. That was awesome, Morgan. Well done. So we didn't think that no one looked on the western side today, so we decided to try. And that was a very good spot there. I'm not sure which leopard it is. Seems to be highly on the move. To move a little bit. Yeah, well done, Morgan. Very nice surprise. Oh, keep on moving, huh? Sorry, I might start and stop the car quite often because this leopard is moving quite fast. Fortunately, it's not too thick yet where we are. Oh, I am with Talomba apparently. That's very nice. It's the first time I see her. Yeah, I hope the visual is okay that you can see on TV now. She might come up and come in the nice open air. Beautiful. Very nice. What a way to have a good sighting after a very tough morning. You can see the tail flicking there. Yeah, I'm going to go a little bit forward. Try that side. Looks like she's chasing some birds. Hopefully she will step on that termite mound in front of us to get a better advantage point. No, she decided to. Oh la la, she's on the move. Just checking quickly in which direction she's going. It's quite thick in front of us, so I'm looking for the best way possible to follow her. We'll have to try that side. Let's see. It will be a problem for the antenna here, so we might try to look around. I apologize, it's very thick in front. Hopefully we'll not lose her. Oops, sorry. Okay, so we'll try to relocate her and hopefully we'll be lucky.
As one of the industry's best and Fagasa Indoors training institutes, NJ Moorfield Guide College produces professional guides of exceptional caliber and gives students from around the world an incredible experience. NJ Moore offers courses to suit all types of interests. The full-length career course results in a FAGASA-accredited qualification and the option of a 6-month internship at one of Mall Family Collection's luxury safari lodges. Shorter courses are a great introduction for those considering a career in field guiding or even a life-enriching experience in your gap year. With spaces still available in July, don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to live your African dream.
Hello everyone, my name is Trishala and I am a naturalist and safari guide here in Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I think that the information that we provide, and most importantly the questions that you ask, give both you and I a really good idea of what's going on. My friend Fernando here, he's a flat-necked chameleon and I love them. They're just these gems that you manage to find in the bush.
Catch up with the guides daily here on WildEarth.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Hi, my name is Tristan Dix, and I am a guide here at Djuma Private Game Reserve for WildEarth. We love connecting you to the African bush, and we always look forward to all of your questions. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you'll need to register on the website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit a question below the live feed. Catch up with me on WildEarth.
Kalamba, I want to know where she was found. Jarrett, can you find out from Cedric? Because I'm wondering if that was the other predator possibly on quarantine, which means that our good old Mr. Tingana could have been following his daughter, the Yuge. The Yuge. I want to know where she was found. It possibly wasn't her. I am obviously making a little bit of a leap here. But there was definitely another predator. We were just a little bit too far behind them this morning. But look at these guys chilling. Chilling on the embankment of the dam. 2 reptiles. Davi's just about to show you the other one. The usual suspect. Water monitors. This must be the place to be if you're a reptile. Cedric found her on Zoe's, yeah. That was her this morning. 100%. Tlalamba was on very close by to Ghana this morning. Definitely. Tingana's not too far away from Zoe's. He's on that western edge in the drainage. I think he was probably following her. Fascinating. And looking at both of these reptiles, the water monitors and the terrapins, you can see they're both reptiles, but remarkably different. Speciation. They've evolved slightly differently. Well, not even slightly, a lot different. If you look at the terrapins, they've got their own little protective armor housed on their back. Cumbersome on land, yes. Heavy on land, yes. But it gives you that extra protection. If you bring in your arms and your legs and your head very close to the body, a predator is going to have to really crunch through that shell to get to your soft inner parts, your organs, which is what they want. No predator wants to eat the shell. Hyenas will crunch it, absolutely, but ideally it's the flesh, it's the body that predators want. Makes it a lot more challenging when you've got that crunchy outer shell, which is just a rib cage having fused together. So it's just bone covered in keratin, which means it's got a blood supply, it's got a nerve supply. If I was to touch your arm, you feel it, right? You'll know that I'm touching your arm, which is exactly why you shouldn't touch these animals, or at least one of the reasons. People think that turtles can't feel it. When you touch their shell, they can. Is it pleasant or not? We don't know. That's probably far too much on the anthropomorphizing scale. But they absolutely feel it. And when they're hatchlings, be it a terrapin, a tortoise, a sea turtle, the shell is very, very soft. Which is why you don't squeeze them too hard. We actually have found turtles in the Maldives, at least, where they've been clearly touched by a human when it's a hatchling, and they've obviously touched too hard and squeezed it, and that turtle has been left with a sort of disfigured shell as it's growing up. You can see that there's a dip at the peak of the shell, at the peak of the carapace, and on the plastron where someone's grabbed it with their hand as a hatchling. Completely disfigured that animal. Most reptiles are temperature sex dependent. And it's fascinating because it's completely different from humans. It's not all the same across the board. I mentioned before that sea turtles, you normally go by the policy when you're trying to remember it, hot chicks and cool dudes. But then crocodiles are the complete opposite. So that would be hot dudes and cool chicks, and it doesn't quite work, does it? The temperature range is also different. And there's a sort of temperature window in the middle where it's neutral. So it really depends on the habitat, the surrounding environment, and that exact time, if you like. If it's hot from the sun, it'll just automatically become a female. If it's a little bit colder at night time and next to the sort of cool sand, depending on the position in the nest, in the clutch, it will become a male. But yes, most reptiles, I don't think all, are temperature sex dependent. And you can manipulate that as humans. You can collect a clutch of a sea turtle and you can keep it in a really, really hot room. Obviously still nestled in the sand, but you can dig it all up, keep it in sand, and keep it in a really, really hot room, and they'll all be females. And you've completely manipulated that scenario, which is really, really worrying when it comes to climate change, of course. How will that affect sea turtles, their populations, and their sex distribution? But what a drive, everyone. What a banging start with Mr. Tingana. I do hope that he comes out of the drainage this afternoon, and I'm sure he will. But thank you, everybody, for jumping on board. All your comments, all your questions, and I do hope to see you this afternoon. Have a great day.